Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Addison, whatever time you're listening, and thank you for joining us for our ASD Chat for All podcast. We have lots of fun and exciting things on the horizon for Addison School District 4, and this podcast allows us the opportunity to connect with our parents and guardians, families, and community to celebrate our students, their accomplishments, and so much more. Your hosts for this podcast are ASD4 Superintendent Dr. Nick Sutton and myself, Dean Constantopoulos. You interested in hearing more about what's going on in District 4? Come on in and have a chat. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us again for another episode of our ASD Chat for All podcast. My name is Dean Constantopoulos. I'll be one of your hosts this afternoon. Actually, Dr. Sutton is not with us today, so it's just going to be me joined with two wonderful guests. So first we have Kristen and Eunson, and we have Ashlyn Schrepfer. They are both our curriculum coordinators here at Addison School District 4. So Kristen and Ashlyn, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. So let's go ahead and hop right into our first question. So I know who you both are, but just for anybody else listening, so tell us a little bit about yourselves. So who are you, and how long have you both been in education?
Well, this is Kristen, and I have been in education for 20 years now.
Very nice.
And I spent 15 years in the classroom, mostly in the intermediate grades, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade.
Gotcha.
I was an accelerated teacher for 6 years, which I really loved. And then the last 4 years, I have been working as an instructional coach in a 5th and 6th grade intermediate building.
Very cool.
This is my 12th year in education. I spent the last 11 years as a teacher. I mostly taught 3rd grade. I've also taught 2nd grade and 4th grade. And then while teaching, I also did a lot of curriculum work throughout the years.
Oh, great. So actually, thank you for bringing up the curriculum piece, because that's actually what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you are both the newly appointed curriculum coordinators here at the district. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's awesome, because I've seen you both around the district office a lot. So, and I'm just like, oh, what is this curriculum coordinator position? What is it all about? So can you tell us, what is this curriculum coordinator position?
These positions were added for this year because we had primary resources, but no real pathway for how to use them. And they come with so many components and so many options for the teachers that creating kind of an instructional guide so that we would have consistency across, especially because we have so many elementary buildings and everybody comes to the same junior high. Really wanting to make sure that all our students are getting the same content across the board.
So correct me if I'm wrong, it's a lot of like, we get a lot of resources from different educational companies or however, and then so we want to make it more uniform so that when everybody gets to the junior high school, they're kind of all on the same level or the same path, something like that?
Yes, we help organize the resources. We don't just work with the resources, we also help with the assessments too.
Great.
And other instructional materials for the teachers to use to help with the students and their learning.
Awesome. So like, what does the position kind of entail, right? So like, who do you work with the most, would I say? And then also, kind of what do you feel is the purpose of the curriculum coordinator position?
So we work with the principals a lot, mostly for K-5, and then we also get the opportunity to work with the teachers.
Oh, cool.
Go inside of their classroom and interact with the students as well. And then, of course, district admin, we work a lot with the teaching and learning department because we're a part of the teaching and learning department.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's been really great to get to work with different groups for kind of different purposes. We've gotten a chance to go to all of the elementary schools and just visit classrooms and sit in on PLC meetings and just kind of be available as a resource to the teachers. We know that this is all new and there's lots of questions and, things to figure out. So that's been really great.
Awesome. And it's kind of cool because both of you had mentioned how your background is in the classroom. You have that classroom teaching experience. So it must be kind of interesting to kind of have this more, I don't know, like a different perspective of working in the classrooms and stuff like that. That's really cool. Do you find yourselves missing the classroom at all?
Sometimes, but I really like what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really awesome to be able to be part of kind of crafting where we're going as a district. But it is really great to get to be around the kids.
Yeah,
because you miss the kids.
It's a good combination. We get to do the curriculum, but then we get to go in the buildings, interact with the students. So we get a little bit of both worlds.
That's so cool. And I mean, ultimately, this whole plan is for the benefit of our kids. So let's talk a little bit about that then. So like, what are some of the strategic goals or like some of the plans that we have for our curriculum in the upcoming year or upcoming years? What are some things that we're trying to accomplish with these changes?
This year, I think the biggest goal is for us to work on the pacing guides for literacy and math. So
for K-5.
For K-5. And honestly, there's a lot that we need to talk about as a department, as a district for future goals. There are many goals that we hope to accomplish.
Because there's so many great things going on in the district with the MTSS process and with biliteracy, and those all affect what we do as well.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of a lot of working parts that are all going together. But this is part of the district vision and plan, particularly as it relates to equitable practices for our students and making sure that everyone is getting, that research-based content and curriculum.
Absolutely.
We're really laying that out. And we felt that it was the priority to start with literacy and math, K-5, and then kind of go from there.
I love that. And you had mentioned specifically a pacing guide. And that's kind of alluding to what you had mentioned before about making sure that all of our kids kind of are on the same track as we get to junior high school. So that's really cool. So then, so let's talk a little bit more about this position in the district itself. So why do you think ultimately it's important for us to have this curriculum coordinator position at Addison School District 4?
I think that it's really important. Speaking from a literacy component, because that's the area that I'm working in, our resources is great, but there's just so much to it.
Right.
And it really is a full-time job just going through it all and deciding, what we need to focus on, what the focus standards are going to be, what different components will work for different purposes, and just kind of digging through all of that and creating an outline for the teachers. And it takes that off the teacher's plate, so they don't have to do that. They get the outline, and then they're able to adapt it and make it work for their students in their classroom.
Oh, that's cool. So it's not like every single person gets the exact same curriculum, because they can kind of mix it up and make it theirs and make it personal or unique to their own teaching style or whatever. That's really cool.
What we like to say is that we're giving you the what, but we're not giving you the how.
Oh, I love that.
That's up to the teachers.
That's very cool. So there's a lot of autonomy still in the classroom. That must be reassuring for some of the teachers who may have had questions about this whole thing.
Yep.
So what do you think about this position? How do you see this position changing or evolving as we start to get more research, or we start to kind of settle on how we're going to approach the curriculum going forward?
Some other changes coming forward would be working on science and social studies. And then another change would be working with the middle school teachers and staff and principals.
That makes a lot of sense. So we'll start with the elementary schools going into junior high, and then tackle the junior high and how we're going to do that leading into high school. That's awesome. So I know this is a lot of information that I've been kind of asking of you both. So thank you both seriously for answering all these questions. So let me ask you this last question, I promise. If anyone wanted to reach out to you both, they have questions about the pacing guide, or they have questions about how the curriculum pacing is going to go forward, or what kind of content we're looking to engage our kids in going forward, what is the best way that somebody from the district or a parent or somebody could reach out to you both?
Email
I was going to say
would probably
continue
be
to use email.
Yeah, the best way.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. And district email, that's going to be on our school website. You can check that out. It'll be first name, last name at asd4.org. And if anyone else wants to be a part of the podcast or wants to talk about anything ASD4 or curriculum and they have questions, they can reach out to myself or Dr. Sutton at AddisonSD4 on X. So, Kristen and Ashlyn, thank you so much for joining us. Again, I know this is a lot of information, so thank you again. Truly, I really appreciate it. This is pretty cool stuff coming on.
We're excited about it.
Yes, thank you
For
for
sure.
having us.
Of course. And for everybody listening, stay tuned for next time. Thank you for tuning in to our ASD Chat for All podcast. Check us out at www.asd4.org, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts for more. We'll be back soon with another episode, so stay tuned.